Okay, welcome to tape 4. On the last side of 3, we had Billy and Ptah left alone on the Great Spacer to have a chat for about 50 minutes while the barrier was being closed. Billy had just asked Ptah about some of his comments on religion, and Ptah was explaining that he felt that it interfered with the individual's free will, and he felt that it was a shame that it had been so exaggerated, that Christianity had changed the truth so much since the time of Emmanuel, that it distorted things so much that the individual really didn't have a free chance to learn on his own, to learn properly about the truths of creation. Well, I can understand Ptah's viewpoint, being a very developed being and coming from another society that benefits from all this great knowledge and so forth, but also, like he acknowledged, that we do have to learn on our own, that it's important for all of us as we move along our own path of evolution, that we experience things for ourselves and we find out for ourselves. The problem seemed to be that Ptah felt a sense of urgency, that the planet Earth, technically, we were becoming very advanced, combined with the fact that we were moving into this new age period where things are greatly accelerated, and that soon we would find ourselves out in free space and perhaps communicating with other intelligence, other life forms, that he felt it very important that we kind of grow up faster, that we were going to have to get over this period in our development here very quickly, because if we are to go out to move out into free space, touting Christianity, that he says there are many races out there that will not, they just will not put up with this. They won't put up with this sort of ignorance, and they're liable just to wipe out our race. Or possibly, he says, it could work the other way around, that we could find ourselves coming in contact with races even less developed than ourselves and try to influence them, teaching them Christianity, and he felt this would be very harmful to other planets. On our own, if we wish to follow our own path of evolution and develop on our own, then we can do whatever we like, as long as we're confined to our own planet. But when we start influencing others, then they felt they had to draw a line there. So they were very hopeful that the main thrust of their mission, which was to educate us a little bit spiritually about life and so forth, that they could be very effective in those areas. So again, they were spurring Billy to get out into the public and to explain things and explain the truth about things to people. Now, the truth can be pretty harsh sometimes. I know here on Earth, I have no idea how many different real religions and belief structures we have. Must be quite a few of them. I mean, all over the planet with this 180 some odd different languages and races we have, you can find, a variety of belief systems, all over the place. So we are at a difficult time on the development on our Earth where we're coming together because communication is throwing us together, communication and technology. It's a very difficult time for us to come together and start, becoming unified in our beliefs and so forth. It's going to be a very difficult time indeed the next few years. So those were his basic comments. It turns out one of their nice surprises they had for Billy next was that they had some things to do which was going to require them moving to different areas of the universe, and Billy would be allowed to see other planets, other galaxies, and other civilizations. So he was, of course, quite excited about that, and he wanted to know if he could take some pictures, and they said, of course you could, that they'd be able to stop at certain areas and explain some things to him, and that he would be allowed also, in some cases, to get into the small ships with Semyasin. He could go in and actually investigate some of these planets. He thought that was great, but he had a couple more questions, and he pressed Ptah again about this idea of learning and about truth. And Ptah remarked to him, well, when we make our influence on the people of Earth as we do with any other planet, we have to be very careful about the amount of information that we actually let people have. And they try to very carefully ascertain the ability or the levels of knowledge and evolution of the people on a planet before they start exposing themselves, exposing their knowledge. Now, with Billy, for instance, they've gone to great trouble, and as we're going to hear on other tapes, Billy's gone time traveling into different periods and different historical times to actually see for himself and know his own truth. Billy's been exposed to information that might be kind of difficult for a lot of the people on planet Earth to understand. So when they talk about the types of information that they want out into the society, bear in mind that they are considering the planet as a whole. Even though many of you that are listening to this tape probably are far more advanced or more open-minded than many of the people on this planet, this information isn't directly just for you, it's for the entire planet. And while you may be wanting more and needing explanations of some things, many of the people on this planet can't even accept the fact that ships are coming. If Pleiadian ships were to fill the air tomorrow, there would be a lot of panic in many areas. So they have to consider everybody. So when they do that, they are very slow and they're very careful about trying to let information out into a society so they don't really overload people and cause panic and fear. For instance, Semjase and Billy's former contacts with Svath and Asket, they were all being very careful to go step by step and really explain the basics to Billy so that he could grow and learn these cognitions himself. You see, it's not enough just to hear information, like you're hearing things right now on this tape, but it takes a lot more than that. Once you hear information on any particular subject, you don't own that knowledge yet. These are just words. It's just information that comes into your mind. In order for that to become part of you, you have to go out and experience it. Something you may hear on this tape or some information may influence your thoughts a little bit, and they may be just what you need to know right now. Maybe it's something that your mind is really just waiting to be fed with. And you go out and you start experiencing it. You change your life in some way because of some information. You start living differently. You start affecting people differently. You start reacting to things differently because of this piece of information. Well, what happens when you do that? It now becomes part of you. Now, if you were to receive information which was far too advanced for you, it would really have no effect. It's like in education. If you're going to learn to, say, be an architect when you're a freshman in college, you don't immediately open a book up from a senior class student and start reading, the more sophisticated great secrets of architecture. They wouldn't mean anything to you. While it might be fascinating to read them, it would not be the proper learning process because you've jumped past all the basic knowledge that you're going to need to actually be an architect. So it's necessary for you to go back and open your freshman book, isn't it? Well, learning things in life is the same way. But once you go through the 4 years of architecture, learning everything, that knowledge is now yours. You have learned it, lived it, it has become part of you. Anything you learn in life works the same way. And be it information from extraterrestrials on spiritual development or just textbooks on architecture, the learning process works pretty much the same way. This is another area that they had a problem with many of our belief structures, is that you are pushed information onto you and told you that this is the way it is. It's not only untruthful, but it doesn't give you a chance to learn on your own, to experience on your own, and so forth. Every individual on the planet should have his own opportunity to have his mind opened up with spiritual information given to him so he can search for himself, make his own decisions, because we're all on different paths of evolution. And again, they mentioned that on this learning thing, they thought it could be dangerous for us to, spread the religion around. So they've been very careful about the types of information, but it kept reaffirming the idea that they felt it was time that we actually heard the truth about life and about creation. And as Billy has just experienced going through eternity, here is certainly one of us anyway that got to experience it firsthand. So Billy has real knowledge of his own, having contacted creation and felt what happened there. Gee, wouldn't it be marvelous if we could all experience that? So Billy had another question, too, about the governments on Earth, if any of them were actually in contact with any extraterrestrials on a regular basis. Now,